Welcome everybody to All About Articulation, where we do a deeper dive into the articulation of some of your favorite action figures while glossing over things like sculpt, paint apps, character history, accessories, because I suck at that, and there are already so many great reviews on YouTube who do that already, so why waste your time? Hope everybody's staying safe and sane in this quarantine/pandemic. Alright, today we're going to review the Mcfarlane Toys Batman HELLBAT suit action figure. He goes for about $20, which is a great price for a figure this big. He definitely would be a sort of a Build-A-Figure type in other lines, Marvel Legends. But for $20, he's yours. When he first came out about, I'd say maybe 2-3 months ago, he was very hard to get. He was sold out at like Walmart, sold out on Amazon. You couldn't get him. Now I think he's a little bit easier to obtain. If you look around a little bit, you can definitely pick up this guy for $20. But don't overpay for this guy. He was, for a while he was being scalped for $40, $50, $60. Don't pay that. $20 and he's yours. Thoughts other than that, off the bat, love him. He's one of the prize figures in his wave. One of the first outings of Mcfarlane Toys. I never thought I would get into Mcfarlane Toys until I started just dabbling around with some of his Fortnite figures, and then I said, oh wow, good stuff, good quality, pretty good quality. I mean, for $20, okay, the Mcfarlane figures, they're in line with Marvel Legends. So if you think of Marvel Legends quality, then that's what you're getting from Mcfarlane. Some people think it's a little bit better, some people think it's a little bit worse, but when you average it out, it's about that level of quality. And for $20, you can't beat that price when you're talking about a figure this size with this much sculpt and this much and good articulation too for a big bulky figure. Excuse me, I just burped in my mouth. All right, let's do a quick measurement of this guy. He stands at, I would say, 7 3/4. What do you guys think, huh? Oh no, you can't see him there. 7 3/4. So he's a tall figure, under 8. He comes with these huge, articulable, might I add, since we are all about articulation here, these wings that stretch out really far. It's amazing how wide the wingspan that you get from this. But I'm gonna keep it closed for now and do a little bit of articulation. Now, one thing I do regret doing is that I wanted to give a sort of vanilla review of him before I went into sort of mod him a little bit. I did a couple of modifications to him before I reviewed it. I wasn't gonna review him with you guys. I was just gonna mod him, but then I said, you know what? I'll talk about it. So out of the box, his head does not go any further than that. Oops. Out of the box, his head does not go any further up than that. What I had to do was that I pulled his head off, and I did a lot of work. I shaved off a lot of plastic over here. There's a piece that pretty much came that basically was on level with this point here and that point there, going around here and then going around here. And I just took a Dremel and an X-Acto knife and I just cut it off to create more, well, there you go, to create more space. And that allowed for a lot more articulation. And I also did what I normally do when there's a lack of neck articulation, is I cut a little V-shape, drilled a little V-shape there to allow this neck peg to go up that far, or that far back, as you can see. So out of the box, the peg doesn't go anywhere further than that. With that little V cut there, it goes back that much. And then when you put it all together, it allows for way more range. I might have to edit this. I normally don't like to edit my videos. I like to just do it in one shot. But I also don't want to waste your time in creating like a 25-minute long video. So there we go. Snap it back in. Seen all the dirty work here, but hey, it's not even pretty. Oh, there we go. Snap. I love that. Hearing that pop. So with all that added articulation, or should I say removal, plastic removal, he can now move his head that far back. So it went from here, went from like this to about, wait, like that. Went from here to there, there to there. It might not be a lot for you, but for me, now he can sort of do the flight pose. If you wanted to make him fly towards you, he can look more in an upward angled direction. So yeah, so we got that. We got his height measurement out the way. I talked about his neck and head articulation. With the added articulation, he can look down this far, look up that much. This is how far his hands move. He's got these very spiky shoulder pads or shoulder armor that come off pretty easily. It's just a peg that you pop in there. What I had to do was that both for these both of these shoulder armors and the back wings, what I did was that I put, they come off on my figure anyway. I don't know about other people's, but for my figure it came off very easily, and I just added a little bit of hot glue, just a drop of hot glue there, and then I ported it back into the hole, and then it still comes off and it's non-permanent, but what it does is that it just creates a little bit more friction, so it stays in there a little bit tighter. But this one is already starting to come off. This one still stays in pretty well, but they do not hinder his shoulder articulation to move up to hit 90 degrees, which is great. Love that. There is a room for butterfly. It's not a butterfly joint. It's a peg and a peg hole, and you have this shoulder, I guess, plastic that creates the illusion of a butterfly joint, but it's not technically a butterfly joint. It's just a ball peg that goes in, but it does have articulation motion, so that's good. So he can, move his shoulder around, give you a little bit of range there. That's cool. He has a single jointed elbow, but it bends, and it hits, I would say hits exactly at 90, right? That's good. He doesn't come with any change of hands, so the two hands you get are just sort of these open claw hands, no closed fist for punching, but that's okay. Oh, that's kind of ugly. What the hell is that? He has these ball joint. It's typical Mcfarlane wrist pegs. They can move this way, and if you turn it, you can make it go this way. So there's a lot of range of motion in the wrists. So really happy about that. As do all Mcfarlane action figures, I must say. It's the typical Mcfarlane wrist joint, which allows for a lot of movement. Another thing I did is that there was not a lot of ab crunch. Yeah, Mcfarlane toys, they don't give a lot of ab crunch on their action figures. I have to admit. So lots of times I have to go in and create my own, add my own range of articulation. And like I did with the back of the neck, I cut out a little bit of V. What I did was that I popped him in hot water, popped off the torso, which is very easy to do. Just use hot water, or you can use a hair dryer, and the heat softens the plastic just a little bit, and I was able to pop off. See where it bends here? I was able to pop off the upper torso and then there was a ball joint, just like I showed you in the neck. I cut up a little bit of a V and the lower part of the torso, just so he could obtain just a little bit more crunch, as you can see. So now his forward crunch, without any other bending, goes down like that, which is good for me. He has the typical Mcfarlane thigh joints, which gives him a great split, really good. He has double jointed knees, which goes back that far, and he has the typical Mcfarlane ankle joints, which is exactly the same as the wrist. So Mcfarlane wrist and ankle joints are exactly the same. It's these it's a swivel and it's a peg. It's two pegs attached to a swivel. I guess that's the best way to call it. So what that does is that, just like the wrist, you have a ton of motion and movement to create a lot of articulation. And he's got toe joints too, which is good. Now, one thing real quick. Overall, his articulation is great. I would say it's great. You know, what I like to do is that I don't grade articulation on an absolute scale. I grade it on a character-specific scale. Like I always say, I don't need my Hulk to have Spider-Man level articulation. I don't need my, you know, the Thing to have Daredevil level articulation. I don't need my Batman in a gigantic armor HELLBAT suit to have typical Batman articulation. He's gonna be less acrobatic in a suit like this. So if he can just hit a couple of sort of intimidating poses, he can bend his knees, he can bend his elbows, more or less. He's got some shoulder articulation. I'm more than happy. And in terms of this character, in this suit, in this presentation, he can hit all the articulation points that a character like him should be able to hit and more, I think. So, perfect articulation for this character in this suit. And also, talking about his wings before, these wings are detachable. However, on my figure, these wings popped off when you breathed on it. So, like I said, what I did also with the, I'm gonna have to do this again. But what I did with the shoulder armor is that for here, what I did is, I don't know if you can see it, but I added just a drop of hot glue here, just like a drop, and then I quickly ported it in. And I did the same thing with this wing. So what that does is that it doesn't glue it in permanently, because hot glue doesn't do that anyway. But it just created enough of a layer in the hole to keep the two wings, the two peg of the wings, sort of stuck enough, with enough friction to keep it in there, so that I could, you know, move it around, articulate it, and it doesn't just pop off. And if I want to take the wings off, I can always take the wings off, but it stays in regularly. All right. Oh yeah. I don't know if I covered his full abdominal articulation. So, like I said, he can now bend, because of the modification I did. He can bend this much. He has 2 points at there's 2 points of articulation in the torso: upper torso and lower waist. So there's a ball joint here and a ball joint there. But he can bend this much, he can crunch this much, and he can extend his back that much, which comes into use when you make him fly, put him in a flying pose. All right, I guess that's it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and or hit me up, DM me, and I'll try to answer anything specific. All right, take care, everybody.